year to the next year because of that award. So I started off being very much like, here goes nothing.
I don't know, but here we go.
I don't know, but here we go. And I was fortunate enough to meet the right people at the right times, and that's always my thing, especially when I was in the self-publishing space, like only in the self-publishing space. There's a lot of things about putting those books out into the world that I was not sure of and that I did not know. But one thing that I always felt confident about was that the writing was good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what else is going to happen, but if it gets into somebody's hands and they open it up and they read it, they're not going to be able to say, oh, this is an awful book. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my energy was always spent. It wasn't spent thinking about, I hope, people that are not kids get what I'm trying to say. Or I hope this gets really popular. It was always like, how do I get it in people's hands? If I can figure out that part, I think the rest will take care of itself. And so
that's a super important thing for anyone who's really trying to self-publish. It's like, look, did you give it all that it needed?
Oh yeah.
Did somebody professionally edit it? Mm-hmm. Did he revise it 300 million more times?
That's really what it takes.
Whoa. And then it's like, you gave it your all. What was the initial intention behind it? Mm-hmm. And let it just keep finding where it needs to go.
That's what success sounds like to me, Whenever people tell me they're interested in writing a book, but they don't know where to start or whatever, I always ask them the same two things, which is, who do you want to read it? And how do you want them to feel when they're done? And I feel like if you can look back at anything you've done and those answers to those questions align with what you hope for, sometimes it may be more than you hope for. But if you can look back and say, like, I asked those questions and I got answers to them that make sense to me, then you made it. You did the thing.
I mean, you basically gave me what I needed, because I was like, what would you tell people who want to write? But here we are.
Oh yeah, that's it.
For success, does it change over time what it looks like to you?
For me, it does, but I think about, at least from conversations with my friends, I think about success a little bit differently. So I feel like a lot of us, being under this capitalist system, there's an inherent escalator to how we think about what we are achieving and what we should achieve. And I don't know that I'm purely committed to the escalator. There are definitely heights that I want to reach. There are things that I'm like, man, it would be cool if my book hits the New York Times bestseller list, even though I know that the list is somewhat contrived, and you know what I mean? I know all of those things.
I have so many. Yeah, I'm like,
I know all of those things.
Okay.
But I think about it as something that can help me do other things, right? So the success for me is not necessarily in calling myself a New York Times bestselling author. It's that if I am a New York Times bestselling author, that means more people put my book more places, which means hopefully that more kids read it. Right. So I think that's the way that success changes for me now. I don't tell people this too often. This is like a deep Hugh Hunter fact back in the treasure chest. When I was 16, I made a list of all of the dreams that I wanted to accomplish in my life.
Yes.
Now, this list at 16, because I was a kid, and also because I was growing up in a neighborhood where there weren't a lot of models for people who achieved a bunch of things in the way that we understand what achievement typically looks like. And some people didn't live long enough to achieve all these different things. And so those things definitely were factored into I think how I created that list. But nonetheless, I made a list. And maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I realized that the only thing that I haven't done on the list is become a parent. So like even though it's like a silly thing that I did when I was a teenager, the way that I think about my life now is like, I've done everything I wanted to do. And everything else that I'm doing is like a victory lap. Like the books that I get to write, the places that I get to travel to, the great experiences I get to have, the things I get to learn, everything. I feel so grateful for everything because it all feels like I maybe in another timeline, I didn't make it this far. And so like, I'm so happy that I'm here and that I get to do all of this stuff. And so the way that success has changed is that I'm picking out stuff and trying to stretch myself and trying to get to these new heights because I have the time to do it. Because if I can do it, then maybe that means that more kids get to read. And ultimately, that's what I care about.
The power of manifestation.
It's wild. It's really wild.
It's also a new moon. I just want to let you know that.
You always keep me hip on the moon cycles, and I be needing it too. You come through right on time. So I need to go ahead and set my intentions. And
as an entrepreneur, this is the moon that you want to, hook up a new list or do whatever,
Say no more. I'm going to be on it tonight.
This is the time. So it's planting seed season. So
the seeds shall be planted. Say no more.
Yep. So, any last thoughts, things that you wanted to share and didn't?
I would like to ask the good people of the world if they know any readers in their life, anybody that likes to read, to check out the stuff that I do. I really appreciate when folks, even if they're not the reader, right? They like send me somebody's way or send somebody my way. And so I have the 2 books that I talked about that are out. But since that time, I've gotten an agent. I have some publishing deals to produce some new books coming down here pretty soon. Thank you. And so I'm really hoping to like connect with as many people. My debut traditional novels, a middle grade sci fantasy adventure, comes out in fall of 22. And so I'm hoping like as many people as possible I can link up with, from then until now. And, hopefully they can just follow the journey and read the book when it comes out and let me know what they think. So, online, HD_TSD. You can get anywhere else you need to get from there, Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, I appreciate you making space for me here. I appreciate everybody that is going to listen, and I just I can't wait to like keep doing all of this stuff.
It's exciting. So much thank yous. I mean, we could probably do this a whole other time as well, because I'm like, I have like 10 more questions now.
We'll have to run it back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run it back. I'm gonna reel it in for another time, but this has been dope. The Voodonauts to this conversation pipeline.
Ooh, it's deep. Yeah.
It's so great.
Everything. We'll have to talk about Voodonauts next time. I figured that was going to come up somewhere or another with big things happening with that too.
I'm so excited.
It's such
a life-changing, life-affirming experience.
Honestly, I'm going to tell the origin story next time of how I even got involved with Voodonauts, because from where we started until now, it's hard for us to believe that this is even a thing. It's like, wow, we really just came together.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's important. It's like it's liberation work. Like that's literally what it feels like.
It's very real.
So
it's very real.
It's lit. So again, I'm gonna hold it in. But I really appreciate your time, and your office chair is lit. Whatever you got on it.
Yeah, I got to spice things up. I'm
like, ooh, that's nice.
Shout out to my friend Monzi. He brought this back for me from Ghana, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. If you listen to this podcast, Monzi, it is the fabric that you brought me back. I got it on my chair, on my office chair, supporting my aesthetic. So yeah, I have great friends that are thoughtful enough to grab me things when they go cool places.
Yes, that's what's up. All right, I'm gonna let you go before I start asking you more questions. Thank you again for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. All love.
Thank you for listening to the show. Check out our Patreon, the website in the show notes. Rate, review, and subscribe or share with the homie. And don't forget that you are magic. No te olvides que eres magia. Pablie use magic. Take care and see you next week.